everyone, and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host, Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. So I am so excited to have Jill Hewlett joining me today. Jill and I met a few years ago now, and ironically, on our first Skype Real Life Talk show, we had Elke Schultz, who wrote the book Anxiety Warrior, and I had contributed a chapter, and so did Jill Hewlett. And that's where we met, and I was absolutely just so taken with your message and your knowledge, and I love just saying groundbreaking neuroscience and inspired common sense. Jill shows you how to achieve your fit brain and fit life. And the fit brain part is what I am just so passionate about, learning more and realizing that our brain's kind of something we ignore. So welcome, Jill. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us everything you know about brain fit, how we get a fit brain.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's great to spend this time with you. And I'm so happy we met at that event and through the Anxiety Warrior project and book several years ago now. And I'm always happy. I'm always happy to talk about brain fitness because brain fitness, the essence of it is creating a fit brain, which is so important. And when we put into place the strategies, the tools, the education to create a fit brain, we inevitably create a more fit life as well. So the benefits are far-reaching, and it relates to every brain of every age and stage of life.
Yes, and it is so interesting because especially at this time, we always need a fit body, we always need a fit brain. In this time, as we're recording the show, we have this global pandemic, we have COVID-19. This has been going on for months now, and people are feeling very stressed. People are feeling mentally unhinged, and we need to learn more and more tools to get back to our center, right? And so tell us how we go about doing that.
Yes, I'm happy to. And it relates to, like you said, life at any time. And especially right now, because stress has a really negative impact on our brain functioning. What I like to show people is a sphere. I have this expandable sphere, and this is the mini version, so it can fit on our screens. But normally when I go to events, as you've seen before, I have a really, really big one. But the idea is that when we're operating from stress, we're in a very limited portion of our brain. And when we become aware of this and we implement some really actually cost-effective, time-saving strategies, we can move into our whole brain potential. And if people can see that this expandable sphere is much larger, there's far more resources, there's far more potential, there's far more balance and connectivity. And so we become more confident, more capable, and then we approach situations in a better way, which inevitably leads to better results. So, mitigating stress is really actually the first step in the process of creating a fit brain and a fit life. And then, once we've kind of got used to doing that and we're implementing daily strategies to reduce stress and keep us functioning in a more balanced, optimal place, then we can be more strategic. It's only then that we can start to optimize ourselves or even more effectively move towards some really special goals. But the first step, of course, is dealing with the stress.
Mm-hmm. What I love the most about your teaching and your approach to it, well, first of all, you have positive energy and you exude happiness. So of course, when people meet you, said, I want to be more like Jill. But you also teach it in a very understandable way for all ages. That sphere, that shrinking sphere and expanding really just spoke to me. And what I love is children can get that. That's a great visual for people of all ages. And we can start learning or teaching these all of these skills to children, can we not?
Absolutely. And, the younger we have these tools, the better. And the cool thing is that at any stage, we can get into the driver's seat and start taking the reins and become more empowered and more educated. And what I love telling people is that we are always doing it anyway. We're always sculpting our brain. So why not do it strategically? Like, for better or for worse, intentionally or unintentionally, strategically or not, you are impacting your cognition, your brain health, and your whole body mind system. So why not do it well? Why not do it better? Why not have some tricks and tools, but of course, the younger you can do it, the better. But at every age and stage, even the aging seniors who I have who attend my workshops benefit, because everybody can tap into what's called neuroplasticity, which is working with the malleability, the change ability, adaptability of your brain. And it's been scientifically proven that we can grow more brain cells throughout our entire lifespan. And we can also create new connections between those brain cells, which creates new networks. So the two terms there that are really useful for people to know are neuroplasticity, changing the brain, and synaptogenesis, making new links and connections and networks. And so this is something that's available to all of us. We're doing it anyway, so why not do it strategically?
Well, I love that. And correct me if I'm wrong. There was a time where we thought our brain was our brain and we couldn't, right? We couldn't change it. So you were just stuck with your brain, however it was. And this neuroplasticity, it gives everyone hope, everyone, that you can change, you can rewire. People think, if they've had trauma or grief and they're stuck or they don't know how to cope with stress, they feel like, oh, well, this is just me. And that's not so. We can change things at any age. That's very exciting.
It really, really is. And you're bang on, because it was only a few decades ago that scientists believed that the brain was set in stone and you couldn't change it. You couldn't create new brain cells. You were stuck with your IQ, your behaviors, your way of thinking, your results. And that put people into a really small box. And the reality is there's so much more possible. And thankfully, we have the science now to prove it. And so people can, at every age and stage of life, improve themselves, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or functionally. And the reality is because everything's so connected, when you work on one area, the other areas improve too. So I like to make the brain the cornerstone project, because it's the CEO of our life anyway. And it does affect all those other areas. So it gives the people a point of focus and an area that they can kind of, start to, master or become better at. And then inevitably, there's a ripple effect in all areas.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much. And I think another thing that is important to address, and I know that you'll agree, we complicate things, right? Like we think, oh my goodness, the solutions are going to be so complicated. I don't have time. I don't have the money. And I love when I reread your chapter in Anxiety Warrior. I mean, a couple of the things were, like you said, your mom knew, eat your vegetables and go play outside, like drink water. So again, we just think the solutions are just overwhelming and complicated. And that's not true, is it?
You're exactly right. We make it too complex. It's much easier than we think. And our cells we're composed of 50 to 100 trillion cells, right? A huge, huge number. And they know what to do. They know what their job is. We just need to create the right conditions for them to do it well. And we have a large number of neurons, which are the most advanced cell on the planet. And we have 86 billion neurons. It's a large, large number as well. And they also know what to do. They've been here for a long time, since unicellular organisms existed. And so they've come together to work in this fashion to create this human experience, and they know what to do. We just, in certain ways, need to get out of our own way and then just implement the common sense daily strategies that are going to allow for health to happen, whether that's physical health, emotional health, mental health. And so I could give some other tips, but you were right on the money when you talked about, eating your vegetables, drinking your water, like putting in the right fuel, and then going outside, getting fresh air and getting movement. Like if everyone could commit to those basic principles of fuel in and then going out and activity, exertion, they would see life-changing benefits and results. And then what I like to share, and if you want to go into this at some point, we can. I actually have specific brain activation strategies that are not to replace going for your walk or doing a yoga class or doing your workout, but they're inserted throughout the course of the day to, keep priming your brain and activating it that much more, because, our brain wants to be active, and if we don't use it, we lose it.
Well, and I absolutely want to, yes, I want lots of tips, easy things for people to share. And I just want to go back to two things. And I'm going to say this and it won't be popular, but that's okay. First of all, sometimes common sense is not that common, right? Like we treat our bodies poorly. We feed it horrible junk. We do not move our bodies. We do not think about our brains. And then we wonder why we don't feel well. We wonder, and I was a nurse for so many years, and it was very, someone would come in and say, "Oh, nurse, I don't know why I don't feel well." And it's like, well, are you still smoking 3 packs a day? I mean, it's common sense. And so again, in this time, I think that we need to let's get back to prioritizing the basics. Are you eating well, sleeping well, drinking enough water, moving your body, right? Those are, that's just your foundation. Yes. And I also believe as you can share in this time of we have the regular stress of life, and then we have this global grief, as I say, global stress. And so it is an important time to look for those added little tools, little things that you can implement throughout your day. And even when we're on the other side of this, what a wonderful tool, because stress happens, right? Things happen. And I know what you teach is something people can use for their entire lives. So I want to learn everything. I mean, this show is for me. And Yan.
I'm happy to share. And you another great point there. Common sense isn't necessarily practiced. And so the title of my first book is called Common Sense Uncommonly Practiced. So I chose that for a reason. It's not hard to do. It's the consistency of showing up and doing it regularly, like knowing those basic choices and then making them and doing them on a consistent basis. What we do regularly over time is what's going to impact us the most. I mean, that's how we're going to build those new neural networks, is through repetition. So we can't just do it one day and then think that was enough. If someone buys a gym membership but never goes, it's not going to work for them. So it is about showing up and doing it. And at first it's a bit tricky, because it takes, even right now with the pandemic, we're adjusting to so much. Any kind of change is disorienting. It's distracting. And we want to go back to the comfort of those channels, those connections that are already familiar and easy to use and don't require a lot of extra effort. So now, though, what I like to say to people is, during this pandemic, our lives are being changed 180 degrees anyway. So what better time than now to make the changes you've always wanted to make? I think it's an ideal time. I mean, in the sense that, yes, it's stressful, but if not now, when? Especially, when people have to be kind of in isolation or keeping distance. And so they are spending more time at home on the home front. And so this is, I think, a really great time to reevaluate our habits and put new ones into place. And so I could share a few brain activation strategies that people can do at home, and then they can do them really anywhere, anytime for that matter. And I invite them to try these also with their kids. And, when I go out and give presentations, I basically create the content based on the amount of time I have. So I do everything from a 1 hour keynote to a half-day training, a full-day training, all the way up to a 3-day certificate course. So this, Yvonne, is the tip of the iceberg. I don't want people to think that this is the extent of it, but it's a great place to start. And there's so much more wonderful information for people if they want to proceed and learn more.
Mm-hmm. Well, and absolutely, and I will absolutely encourage anyone to get your books, have a look at your website, and it's you have a wealth of information, and this is just like the Reader's Digest quick version. It's so important right now, again, more than ever, because not only do we have the added stress, we don't have our regular outlets. Children who were, people who were involved in sports, people who were going to the gym, people, right? We don't have the same outlets. We are called to have more stress and stay home, right? Stay home. And again, for children, and I think even we've just recently heard there are no summer camps. Now, for many children, for many parents, for many staff, that was their light at the end of a long year tunnel, especially even through this COVID-19 situation. I know so many kids, including my own, that was their light. Okay, but we still have camp. We still have camp. And so now we have parents at home who are stressed. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do with my children? We have children at home. They don't know what to do with this, and yet they still don't even have the regular outlets and their regular social connection. So whatever tools that you can share, Jill, I am just so happy that you're able to do that, so that we can, and I encourage people to say, really, don't let the simplicity of this fool you. This stuff works.
Yes, well said. Yes, exactly. And yes, we're going through a dramatic change and looking forward to the summer and outdoors and camps. Camps is a big thing. I was a camp counselor when I was in my younger years. I attended camp as a camper. My daughters loved camp. I really feel for the people. We were just walking through the park the other day and I saw the swimming pool empty. And usually this is the time where we get excited that the local swimming pool would start to fill up with water in about a month, and it's not going to happen. And that we do really need to give ourselves permission to feel the disappointment in these things. We can't override the fact that this is disappointing. There is grief involved here. It is stressful. There's no doubt about it. And then, recognize, okay, what can we do? What solutions can we put into place? And what I recommend for people, to help them kind of move into new possibilities and start to create a new schedule, a new routine, and of course, ultimately new healthy habits, is to start where you're at, and to start with something that's really, what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic. So any kind of change you want to make, you want to be able to sustain it. So for example, one thing for sure, drinking more water every day. That's something I've always done. My daughter is starting to, look, you got your water bottle, great. My daughter's decided that that's a new habit that she's going to incorporate, is drinking more water. So there's one thing. Another thing is to go out and have daily walks. Make a commitment to at least one, but challenge yourself to get 2 or even 3. But definitely make an absolute commitment to one 20-minute walk. Walking is a cross-lateral motion that activates the learning and memory center of the brain. So it really primes the area in your brain that will allow you to make new connections and make them more easily. So that's another great thing. And then I say first thing in the morning, anytime throughout the day and before bed, you can do some brain activation strategies. And there's a variety of them for different purposes. So I'll give you a few. One in particular I like for starting my day is an all over body massage done in just a small area. We're going to massage our ears bit by bit around the rim, and starting at the top with the thumbs to the front, the fingers to the back. And as you do this and you roll out your ear bit by bit, not only does it feel great, it is highly energizing because you're stimulating, like I said, over 400 pressure points. And you just go around your earrings if you're wearing any like I am and like you are. So just go around. And then as you do this, do some nice breathing. And when you have your arms out to the side, open up your chest even. So now, you're more likely to take a bigger breath. You're getting a nice stretch. And of course, you're turning on. Oh my goodness, my earring just fell off. I'm going to take off both of them so the other one doesn't. So, there we go. We needed to have a little blooper here. Okay, so now going around 2, 3, even 4 times, really depends on how much time you have and how long you want to do it. But as you're doing this, you might start to yawn. Oh, that's great. You're getting some air conditioning, some ventilation for the brain, and you're cooling it and you're oxygenating it. When we're in stress, we breathe more shallow. So this is going to remind us and allow for more breathing to occur. It also, actually, interestingly enough, because it creates signaling from your body and your brain to your body and back and forth, you're actually creating a greater mobility. So people report their neck turning ability to be better, which you think, well, what's the big deal with that? It's a huge deal. And why it is when we are on computers and screens too much, we're always looking ahead on our devices. And then with stress, our shoulders start to rise and we start to wire ourselves in this way of being, which when we want to be creative and look at solutions and acknowledge the people and the room and the world around us and be able to be more flexible and agile and mobile in our body, which also affects how flexible and mobile and agile we are in our brain, we need to have mobility. So on that note of mobility, and I said going for walks, if it's raining out or you don't have time to leave your desk, because many people are working from home, juggling their work roles and their roles with parenting roles and homeschooling roles now. If you don't have time for a walk, let's build up on that mobility and keep our brain in a dynamic, active state by doing some cross-lateral motion, opposite hand to opposite leg. This is another brain activity. It can be done sitting down right at your desk or on the couch or at the dining room table. And I highly recommend that when you start to do this, take a moment on various times throughout the day to do it standing up and do it at a regular walking pace right on the spot, and then slow it down and see how slow you go. Because as you go slowly, it's activating something really important, Yvonne, which we must be working on during this time especially, is our balance. Because stress and balance don't coexist. So when you do this slowly, standing up, you are going to become a little wobbly. With practice, you'll get better and stronger, and you'll be activating that vestibular system, which is your balance system, and you become very active doing that. You're mitigating stress because they can't coexist. So that's a wonderful thing. Do that throughout the day, even before you get into bed. People toss and turn before they fall asleep. Usually that's because of stress and because they have been active all day, to have an outlet to release that tension and to process their thinking and their emotions. So another one, last but not least, a really calming activity that I highly recommend people do is and people do it naturally anyway, when they're maybe a little bit stressed or thinking about something, they may rub their forehead. Well, it turns out above each eyebrow and below the hairline, above each eye, we have something called positive points. These points here are connected with our stomach meridian, and they're called neurovascular points. And what they do is ironically, when you hold these points, either like this with your fingers or by putting your hand right across, what you do is you create a calming effect in the gut, because when we get stressed, we can feel anxiety or butterflies or anxiousness in our belly area. The other thing it does is it brings blood and oxygen flow up to our frontal lobes. So there, you will also think more clearly and be more calm simultaneously. And you can do it with two hands like this or one hand across. It's a wonderful thing to do anytime throughout the day when you're feeling stressed or if you're having a hard time falling asleep.
So first of all, I just have to say, wow, at the simplicity. But first, and my ears feel all warm and fuzzy right now. They feel all
Good noticing.
They feel lovely. And this is the cross crawl, is it not? So
Yes.
I can hear my mother saying to me right now, I told you so, because she told me to do cross crawls, I think 20 years ago, right?
Yes, they come from the Brain Gym menu, thanks to Dr. Paul Dennison, who is one of my longtime friends and mentors. And he is the founder of Educational Kinesiology and Brain Gym. And so a lot of what I share in the integrative movements is inspired or learned through from him, because he's like a forefather in applied neuroscience and taking movements and making them into strategic activities that you can do to activate your brain.
Well, I love this. And I love that I have these three techniques that I am going to implement them in my life, and I'm going to teach my kids. I'm going to show the kids. And I'm so grateful because, like you said, the tools and the suggestions you gave are just simple, and you just incorporate them into your life. It's not, you didn't say anything that was going to cost a fortune. You didn't say anything that was going to take a lot of time. And wow, I am just in awe, Jill. And I knew that this would fly by. How can people get information? Where can they connect with you?
Well, thank you so much, Yvonne, and thank you for being so receptive and then also just engaging in such a great conversation. The time did fly by, and people start with the information we shared. And if you want to learn more, I'd be happy to speak with you directly. If you go to my website, everything's there. It's jillhewlett.com. So www.jillhewlett.com. And there's my social media handles. There's my email. You can actually even download an intro brain guide. So I invite you to come and check it out.
Thank you so much for everything that my brain already feels better, Jill. I'm so excited. And I'm going to get your books. I'm going to go back to your website. Yes, I'm going to expand that brain. Thank you so much. So thanks everyone for joining me today. I'm sure you're very excited to learn about this brain fitness, have a fit brain and a fit life. So needed. And I just can't thank Jill enough. So my call to action, as always, if you want to be empowered and resilient and have a happy life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks. Bye for now.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media. This is Rogers TV.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
We never done this before.
You ready?